John of Portugal was the son of the Portuguese King Peter I and a Galician noblewoman named Inês de Castro, who had arrived in Portugal as a maid of Infanta Constance of Castile, recently married to Pedro I. Background: the status of John I as Infante of Portugal is a debatable subject. Some historians consider him a natural son of Peter I, and so assert that the title Infante of Portugal could not be attributed to him. Others refer to the circumstances of the death of Inês de Castro, ordered by Peter's father, King Afonso IV of Portugal. After inheriting the throne, the prince admitted he had married Inês secretly. Therefore she was a lawful queen of Portugal and he was legitimized as Infante of Portugal. Life: the Duke Infante lived at the court of Ferdinand I, and was esteemed as a good knight, a dexterous rider, an able hunter, valiant in shooting. He had a steady friendship with the Master of Avis, his half-brother, who was valiant and daring as he, but very different in character. Infante John was a dissembler, ambitious and bold, and would not hesitate to act or speak in pursuit of his ambition. He fell in love with Maria Tellez de Meneses, a red-headed beauty about 11 years older than he, who was lady-in-waiting to the Infanta Beatrice and sister of Queen Doña Leonor Tellez. Maria was the widow of Alvaro Diaz de Souza, second Lord of Mafra and Ericeira, by whom she had conceived Lopo Diaz de Souza, who inherited his father's titles and later became Master of the Order of Christ. Infante John, having gone to her house to fetch her, found an altar and a priest waiting. Maria had made the preparations for the wedding. Thus the marriage was performed secretly in 1376, and when it became public knowledge, it provoked the wrath of Leonor Tellez. Upon the death of Ferdinand I with no male heir, the people might demand the crowning of the beloved Infante John as king, which would raise his wife to the throne, with grave consequences to herself, hated as she was by the Portuguese people. Leonor persuaded her brother John Afonso Tello de Meneses, 6th Count of Barcelos and Alcaide Moor of Lisbon, to insinuate the idea in the mind of the Infante that his marriage to her daughter, the heiress presumptive Beatrice, would find favor with the people and clear his way to the throne, with the false imputation that his present wife Maria had been unfaithful to him, transmitted by Leonora through John Alfonso. Infante John became so enraged that he stabbed her in Coimbra. In one single coup, Leonor Tellez got disentangled of her sister and brought such opprobrium upon the name of her brother-in-law, that his hopes of succeeding to the throne were much diminished. Having committed this crime of passion, John fled to Beira. Ferdinand I intended, or pretended he would, to punish the culprit, but he was soon forgiven and returned to his place in the royal court. When he spoke, however, of marrying his half-niece, the Infanta Beatrice, the queen herself disillusioned him. Infante John, realizing he had been ensnared by the machinations of Leonora, retired to the Douro and then to Castile, avoiding the persecution that was encouraged by the cunning Leonor. Henry II called Infante John to his court and gave him in marriage his illegitimate daughter Constance of Castile, First Lady of Alba de Tormes, in Valencia de Campos in about 1378. He became the first Lord Duke of Valencia de Campos, consequently renamed Valencia de Don Juan. When the Castilian army invaded Portugal, John joined its ranks and laid siege to Elvas, which held firm. Upon the death of Ferdinand I, John I of Castile had him arrested, considering him a threat as the most direct successor to the Portuguese throne. Meanwhile, his connections with Castile eventually cost him the throne, thanks to the argumentation of Master João das Regras at the Cortes of Coimbra in 1385. During the Battle of Aljubarrota he was already out of the country like his brother Denis, both of them having left Portugal for Castile, although during the 1383–1385 crisis he was one of the claimants to the throne, along with Beatrice of Portugal, John, Master of Avis, and Denis. He eventually died in prison at Salamanca, and was buried there. John married in 1376 Maria Tellez de Meneses, widow of Alvaro Diaz de Souza. She was the daughter of Martin Afonso Tello de Meneses and his wife Eldonca Aines de Vasconcelos. From his first marriage he had one son, Infante Fernando, Lord of Eca. In about 1378, John married Constanza Enriquez de Castilla, illegitimate daughter of Henry II of Castile. From his second marriage he had three daughters: Maria Brides of Portugal, second Lady of Valencia de Campos, married as his second wife to Martin Vasquez d'Acunha, Martin Vasquez d'Acunha, first Count of Valencia de Campos, and had issue Isabel Brides Beatriz of Portugal, who married Pedro Nino, first Count of Sigales and first Count of Buelna, and had female issue. Joana of Portugal, married to Lopo Vaz d'Acunha, Lope Vaz d'Acunha, first Lord of Buendia, without issue. Out of wedlock he had Afonso, second Lord Consort of Cascais and second Lord Consort of Lorena, married firstly in 1388 to Branca d'Acunha das Regras, second Lady of Cascais and second Lady of Lorena, and had female issue, and married secondly to Maria de Vasconcelos, th Lady of Solis, and had issue, now extinct in the male line. Pedro da Guerra married c. 1410 to Teresa Aines and Iro, and had issue, now extinct in the male line, and had issue by Maria Aines, now extinct in the male line. Fernando de Portugal, first Lord of Bragança, married c. 1410 to Leonor Vasques Coutinho, and had one son, Duarte de Portugal, second Lord of Bragança, who died in Evora in 1442 unmarried and without issue. Beatriz Afonso, married to de Castro, and had issue. Ancestry.